military budget by 50%, bringing all the troops home, and regulating and taxing corporations at an appropriate level, then you know something interesting is going to happen over the next 4 years. If the president doesn't say that, you can go home and stop paying attention. Well, the fact of the matter is, we have to pay attention, but we have to recognize that the problem is not Barack Obama. Whether you love Obama or hate him, whether you voted for him or didn't vote for him, whether you want him to succeed or whether you want him to fail, secondary to the reality that the Democratic Party is a fully dysfunctional party. The Democratic Party, of which Obama is the leader, is a party without ideology, without coherence, and without a program. What's that? It's a corporate party. I wish that would be easier. You know what? I mean, it would be clearer if they would just acknowledge this. But they're supposedly, we're still living in this fantasy that somehow there's something different. And here's the problem with the Democratic Party. How do you have a functional system when you have one party that is the official corporate party, the Republican Party, and then you have another party that's supposed to be the party of the workers that is collecting more money from corporations than the corporate party? How do you have a functional political system when you have one party that was supposed to be the party of opposition to war and empire, and then when it comes into power, it extends the war and empire? I mean, how do you have a politics when what our media and our political class tells us is politics is really a competition within an incredibly narrow center-right zone? You know, if you were really a serious anti-abortion activist, you should be just as disappointed by the Republicans. They don't deliver either. The fact of the matter is, both of these parties lie to their base. And it happens, I'm glad the Republicans lie to their base for some reasons, right? We would be, the truth of the matter is, we would be a theocracy with a complete totalitarian overlay if they didn't lie to their base. So thanks for that. But understand that the Democrats lie to their base as well. And this is where the problem comes in. Because Barack Obama sits atop a political party that is not willing to take radical action. It's not willing to bring change. In fact, it's disinclined to do so. And so, where we get to is this final question of Obama himself. And all I would say is this. Barack Obama has chosen to be a managerial president. And what that means is he will manage the status quo. And I happen to think he'll probably manage it in some ways better than did George Bush. But I think that any person in this room, including the kid up front who is asleep, would manage it better than George Bush. That's what it is. It's not that, I don't wake him up, you know, but that's not exactly the standard that we set for a presidency. And so this notion of a managerial president, you have to understand, is the fundamental threat to the republic. When Republicans come to power and it is their purpose to change things, to move things to the right, they do what they seek. You know, George Bush never had a majority in Congress like Barack Obama does, and yet George Bush got things done. He had his primary goal, those tax cuts, done in the first quarter of his first term. Right? He's very, very effective. And George Bush got things done. Obama doesn't get things done. What's with Obama? He is a manager of the status quo. He's managing what George Bush created. And you understand that this dynamic, if you keep it in play, Republicans make change, Democrats manage it, but you keep going down, 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 until you get to a point where Democrats are managing Republican policies. Democrats are managing Republican wars. Democrats are appointing Republicans to head the Federal Reserve. Democrats are maintaining Republican policies. the only way you break that is if a president, the only way a president matters in this is if the president's willing to use the bully pulpit. And George Bush has not been, George Bush is willing to use the bully pulpit in almost every setting, right? Even when he was completely wrong, he was glad to go out and give the speech. And we always said, oh, Bush was inarticulate, he was a fool, he didn't speak well. Well, with all due respect, he got more messaging across in his inarticulate way than Obama has in his hyper-articulate way. Because George Bush was actually trying to accomplish something. When Obama gives a speech, he's just giving a really good speech. And this is where I close, and where I think that if you want to get the full understanding of the crisis of the Obama presidency, and I don't beat up on the guy as much as a lot of people, because frankly, again, I see the presidency as less relevant than the party and then the structures of the system. I see the structures of our media as the most relevant of all, and completely dysfunctional disaster. But here's what a president who wanted to use his bully pulpit would have done last week in the State of the Union. Because the president has really only one power, and that is to excite the base, keep the people who support him excited and engaged and ready to march and ready to fight, while at the same time building that base outward. That's what a president does. That's how you use a bully pulpit intelligently. And on the day that Barack Obama gave his State of the Union address, the greatest living historian on the left, and arguably one of the most beloved public intellectuals, not on the far left, on the mainstream left, guy whose books have sold over 2 million copies. I can tell you as an author, that's good. A guy who influenced Bruce Springsteen's album Nebraska, a guy who caused people to make movies, just this definitional figure. And a guy whose books Barack Obama has read. Barack Obama knew of Howard Zinn. Barack Obama's most critical speech during the 2008 campaign, the speech he gave after his New Hampshire primary speech, the speech in which he debuted the phrase, "Yes, we can," was a Zinnite speech. After being beaten in New Hampshire, he said, yeah, we've been knocked down before, but so were the abolitionists. And then he said, but they said, yes, we can. So were the suffragettes. He went through a Zinnite analysis of how power in America was affected by the people. It was a speech entirely steeped in the people's history of the United States. There's no question Obama knew of Zinn. There's no question that the people around him knew and understood Zinn. And it would have been so very easy for Barack Obama in his speech, in his State of the Union speech, to say, we note today the passing of a great American historian and civil rights activist, a man who sometimes criticized me, but yet so altered the way in which we think of our history and made us understand that people's movements matter. Such a significant figure, Howard Zinn. Had Obama said that, everyone in this room would have forgiven him a little bit. Everyone in this room would have liked him a little better and might have been willing to fight a little bit harder for something. But he didn't do that. He didn't give the base even that, and he didn't give those who aren't in the base something to read. And I invite you to understand that Ronald Reagan wouldn't have screwed up that way. I guarantee you, if Milton Friedman had died on the day of a Ronald Reagan State of the Union address, Ronald Reagan would have noted that passing. If any great conservative or right-wing intellectual had died on the day of a State of the Union address by Ronald Reagan, he would have talked about that, and he would have talked about it because it was his purpose to excite and energize his supporters and to build a movement that could dominate our politics. This is why I'm frustrated and angry with Barack Obama. It is not for a particular policy. It is because he has the bully pulpit. He has the ability to excite and energize so many people. He has the ability to speak over the Congress, over the dysfunction of Washington, over the dysfunction of our media, to speak directly to the American people and invite them to become part of something that is bigger and better than our dysfunctional and broken politics, and he fails to use it. And it is why, at the end of the day, as so many of our other speakers have said, Barack Obama is not going to lead us out of the wilderness. Eugene Victor Debs was right. Debs said it best. If I could lead you into paradise, I would not do so, because if I could lead you in, someone else could lead you out. At the end of the day, the people must lead us to paradise, the people must organize, and the people must recognize Obama has not taken us to the promised land. We're going to have to burst those doors down ourselves. Thank you very much.